I made cool potato recipes all week long, and I'm going to show you how and what I made. Before you continue watching any further, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my plant-based inspiration.
What up? I got the idea, I received inspiration today that I would do a whole week's worth of fun potato recipes. So all oil-free, obviously plant-based, starch solution friendly meals that looked good to me, but were all potato based. So I'm gonna make one for every night of the week. And tonight we are starting with some potato tortillas. Doesn't that just sound good? So I am gonna use the microwave to make these potatoes because I've already got, looky here, all these sweet potatoes batch cooking in the oven. I've got a Japanese sweet potato in there. I've got a purple sweet potato and some other sweet potatoes. So that is just batch cooking for the week for me to have those whenever I need them. And we are about to make some potato tortillas. I'm so excited.
The potato tortilla recipe will call for some just regular old baking potatoes. I scrubbed these or rinsed them good, put some holes in them with a fork. And since my other potatoes are baking, I'm just doing these in the microwave. Heated them up, and then I'm peeling off the skin. So we're not going to have any skin on here for the tortillas. And then mashing it all up with my little bean masher. This also calls for some flour. I do not work with flour like this hardly at all. So it's anytime I've done anything that involves like rolling dough and flour, like it just never turns out right. So we're trying this out. I've got some whole wheat flour that I've used here, and you're gonna laugh because this rolling pin is my 2-year-old daughter's rolling pin because I don't own a rolling pin. I don't ever have a need for one. So I literally used it as one of the things I attempted rolling these and making these flat with. Yes, I did. Absolutely. Why not? She had one. So, I mean, why not use it? As you see, I had to put the flour out on my counter, like the dusting flour. Am I even saying that right? I don't know. And I ended up using my hands. There was times I used a cup. It took a couple different times to try to get these in the shape that I guess I thought they should be in. And my potatoes, my sweet potatoes were done. So I took them out. Look at all those pretty different colored sweet potatoes. I got to have these all throughout the week. And here is what the tortillas turned out looking like. You see they got some cracks in them. I don't really know what they're supposed to look like. I feel like anytime I see somebody making tortillas out of something different, it always looks so good and they make it look so easy. But the few times that I've tried, it's been an experience. So I don't feel like, do you ever get it right? I don't know. Yeah, I probably have to master this.
So a few pros and cons. Cons, obviously, the flour and all that. Like I'm never like really messed with flour, and so like the cleanup of that is annoying. But also, probably if it's your first time doing it, it'll probably take a few times to get the tortilla in a good shape with like no cracks. I tried 3 different things. Some pros. Oh wait, one more con. I should have put some sort of seasoning in these instead of just using flour and the potato because it's very, very bland. I put some sauerkraut on top, which is really good. Blue agave sriracha would taste really good on top. Really, really good. Something that is really cool. I only took like a few bites and they're so filling. Clearly because they're made out of potatoes. So that's awesome. A filling tortilla. I love it. Pretty cool.
I spruced up my filling potato tortilla with some wild brine sauerkraut and some blue agave sriracha.
So another thing I just tried, because I remember I made oat tortillas one time and I ended up like putting sweetener on top. And they were kind of like sopapillas. So I put maple syrup on this. We could even do this as a snack or a breakfast food. I'm just trying to figure out ways to spruce these up, but I was like, with something sweet. And I am not kidding. Those are so filling. Like when I started eating these to show y'all what they taste like, I wasn't that hungry because I was snacking on some leftover hummus pasta and some carrots and apple, and I was getting really full, like fuller than normal. Based on what I was eating, it was kind of crazy. Anyways, these potato cake things, supposed to be tortillas, are so filling. Like my tummy is so full, so full. So that's really good. That's cool, right? They fill you up. Like I've never had a tortilla fill me up, so that is a big plus. So today we're gonna make these potato rounds that have lots of yummy seasoning on them, and also some potato chips. All oil-free. So this is gonna be an interesting recipe. So
starting off with the potato rounds here, I just cut some clean potatoes, leaving the skin off. I think I did about 2 potatoes here, and see, these are rather thick, and I prepared them by putting some different seasoning on top. But first I actually got these a little wet and shook them off real good. That way the seasoning would stick to the potato. So that's the key. That's how you can do these oil-free, is by making sure they're still a little damp. So I added some paprika, some pink salt, some garlic powder, and I didn't follow a measurement, even though the recipe did lay some out. But like I've said before, recipes can be kind of like guidelines. And so instead of using the parchment paper, I used my tin foil, and it worked just fine. I put these on the pan and baked them on, I believe it was like for 15 minutes at a certain temperature. I'll link it below, and then flipped them over and baked them for the same amount of time on the opposite side. And so while those were baking on the opposite side, I started to make the prepping for the chips. And so same type of prep here, except that you have to slice these very, very, very thin. So picture like a potato chip, like they're super thin. And so this can be tricky if you're using just a knife. And so here's what they turned out like. It was really hard for me to get my camera to focus here. And Berkeley thought these were like already ready to go chips, and she kept reaching for them, asking for them. Poor thing. I was like, they're not baked, or they're not cooked yet. And so I added just a little bit of pink salt to these. That's all I added for the flavoring for these, and these are already a little damp, so and they're not going to be cooking on the frying pan. They're actually going to go in the microwave, which is a different concept, but this is what the recipe calls for. You're supposed to watch these closely, and of course I didn't, so you'll see what happens to those in a minute. But here are the potato rounds once I took them out of the oven and then back to the potato chips. So I'm working with 2 recipes here at once, and so I should have not put them in for an extra minute. I should have just left them in there for the 5, because I was like, oh, these could use 1 more minute, and I kind of burnt them a little bit. Not too bad.
Oh my gosh, that is literally so good. I'm so excited. And now I'm trying the potato rounds. They're really good. It's like eating a fry. I like it a lot. I'm gonna make these again for sure.
In the beginning of my starch solution journey, I was always making oil-free potato wedges, and oh my gosh, they were so good, so satisfying.
Those are my chips.
You like them? Yummy. Is that your favorite?
Touch it too.
Okay. Hello. It is another night, and I'm going to be making a potato and kale soup as well as a potato curry. I am so excited about both. I've already started chopping up some vegetables. I'm gonna start on the potatoes. I'm gonna kind of do both of these at the same time, or prep both of them at the same time. We're gonna see how this goes, but I'm excited.
Both of these recipes called for a large yellow onion. Well, one recipe actually called for half of a yellow onion and the other for a whole. So I have this extra large organic onion from Natural Grocers that I'm going to just be halving. And so I'm doing the kale potato soup recipe first. I also have some celery here that I'm chopping up. Look at the beautiful green colors. I just sauteed the onion with the celery in some veggie broth. And while that was sauteing, I chopped up some potatoes. This called for like 8 cups of potatoes all together. And the skin off of these. We didn't leave skin on for any of these recipes. And I went to continue sauteing, adding some garlic here in just a bit. These had to get translucent before I could add the garlic. So I've got my minced garlic, and I don't measure. I always just add it. I always add a little more. I've also got some gorgeous organic, is it lacento. I don't know how to say it. It's that type of kale. It starts with an L. I've never actually heard anybody pronounce it. I just know how I say it in my head anytime I get it. So I chopped this all up so this would be ready to go. It made me really happy that this recipe had kale, because cooked kale to me is very doable. It's a lot of times it's hard for me to palate raw kale, even though it's so good for you. But cooked kale I can for sure do. This recipe also called for parsley and nutritional yeast. Now, it's very important with nutritional yeast that you're buying one that is not fortified. You don't need those added ingredients. Just get it in its whole form.
So why potato recipes, right? Because potatoes, I have found on this journey that I've been on, potatoes are scientifically proven to be the number one food, or the number one most satisfying food. That's just the facts. And so I have found this to be true as well. They help me to stay full and satisfied. They're great for weight loss. They are great sources of vitamin C. It is winter right now where I'm at, so they're great in their flavor. They're in season. So potatoes are awesome. If you're looking to lose a little bit of weight, release some weight from your body, potatoes are a great option. Paired with half a plate of non-starchy veggies, you can eat potatoes in all sorts of forms. So I'm just making all these different ones to remind myself again how fun potatoes are, because I got so used to just doing the easy, just throw some in the microwave, bake some, but I'm allowing myself to really get back in the kitchen and do some fun things with them. So it's been a fun week so far. I'm so excited to try the soup that's boiling and that now needs to be turned down. Woo! I ran out of regular potatoes. I have 2 really small ones left, and so I'm gonna start on the curry while the kale potato soup is finishing up. And so I'm gonna use sweet potatoes for this curry. I have no idea if that's okay. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna see how that turns out. I feel like it's gonna be fine. I feel like sweet potato curry is a thing, right? That's a thing. We're gonna find out.
So we're chopping up sweet potatoes. I think I used 2 good-sized sweet potatoes that measured out to what the recipe called for. Of course, potatoes like this are a little tougher to cut into versus your regular potatoes. Now I'm checking in on the other soup. I'm going to be adding some milk to a blender because it calls for me to blend it with some milk here. Now I'm only using this Silk almond milk because I am out of my Joy oat milk. You know, I make my own oat milk. There is an instant oat milk by Joy that is coming out soon. It's on back order and soon it will be available. I've got my order in. I am so excited. I will share more about that with you guys whenever I receive it, but it's healthy, organic oat milk powder, and now they have an instant powder. I'm like stoked to try it out. I do have a discount code if you want to try any of their products. I'll link it below. After I've blended about 3 cups of the soup with that almond milk, I poured it into the bowl.
Okay, I'm gonna try, ooh, it's hot. I'm gonna try some of the soup. That's good. I used vanilla almond milk so I could taste a hint of vanilla. Whoops. It's still good though. It's so creamy and healthy. What? Berkeley, did you try the soup and you liked it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, okay, you gotta hold it with both hands real tight. It's hot, real tight. Okay, let's take it to the room.
That's
That's
good.
good.
That's in my tummy.
It's good in your tummy? Good. I am baffled. I wasn't gonna have Berkeley even try that because I don't know, it seemed like a mommy food, right? Like, but we eat a lot of the same stuff. But since I've been on this journey, you know, I make my lots of potato meals, which naturally she wants to eat what I'm eating. But I would make something a lot of times for me and then have something that's rich in fats and all sorts of other stuff for her. But she wanted to try it, so she's trying it. But she's got a nut butter sandwich on sourdough bread in there, some broccoli, some apples. And so now she's got soup with it too, which makes me so happy because it's got kale in it. I love to give her a smoothie every night along with whatever other food she's eating that I put kale in as well. So now she's like getting the super green of the kale in through the soup. Never ceases to amaze me.
pouring the remainder of my potato soup in a big container. I'm going to store it in the fridge, and here's me eating it. It's so good. The flavors were perfect. It was nice and creamy, and it just makes me so happy eating food that tastes good and that is so nourishing. Do you get happy like that too? I know I do. So I'm starting the curry now, adding the rest of that onion with a little bit of water, and I think, oh yep, here it is, some garlic.
This recipe calls for tomato paste. Something that irks me, I don't even like to say that. Something that is not cool about tomato paste in recipes is that most of the time, a lot of the time, it calls for like 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. And then it's like, for me, this is just, the rest of it's gonna go to waste, or I'm gonna keep it in the fridge and then it's not gonna get used again, because the likelihood of me using it in another recipe is not that high.
So the curry actually called for spinach, but I know you can use any green. You know, again, recipes are guidelines. I already had the kale out, so I'm cutting up the rest of it. Organic kale. You should always buy your greens organic if you can. They are one of the more highly sprayed produce items. So this recipe also called for real whole tomatoes, but I am cheating and using a can. They are organic. Tomatoes are also good to be bought in organic. Here are my spices. Don't they look all pretty? Got some turmeric, some curry powder, and then that other one, some type of masala. And then I'm adding the sweet potatoes to the pot here, and I've got some coconut milk. Now this is a full fat coconut milk. I've only made one other curry since following the starch solution, and what I did was half of the coconut milk and then half of regular plant milk. That way the fat content wasn't as high, but I didn't do that in this instance. So coconut milk tends to be obviously pretty high in fat, but if you're a female following this lifestyle, certain times of the month for hormonal reasons, it's good to have a little extra fat.
I gotta cook the sweet potatoes for longer. It's not done. Let's try this again. Hot. Hot. My taste buds are burnt. However, the sweet potatoes are better, like they should be. Nice and creamy. It's just too hot to tell how it is right now. And I gotta get in bed because me and the baby are doing really good, sticking to a strict bedtime. But I don't know yet what it fully tastes like, but it's very pretty. And yeah, I just had to leave the potatoes in there for longer than I thought, so like double length. But I think I would like to try this without the sweet potatoes, to do it just with the regular potatoes next time, if I do it next time. I will say my favorite out of everything I made is the soup and the potato rounds. So good. So I will be making those 2 again, but they were all cool.
I packed the remaining curry away in some Tupperware, brought it to work for lunch along with some of my favorite rice packets, some jasmine rice, the organic brown kind, the Lotus Foods brand, and that way I could get the full authentic experience of rice and curry together. If you made it all the way through this video, oh my gosh, thank you. Make sure you give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you made it all the way through. Let me know which potato recipe you're going to try and which one stood out to you. Thank you again for supporting my channel. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at TheBusyVeganMom, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my plant-based inspiration.